Hello, this is National Chess Master R. Rats. I'm back again at chess.com with a video series of the Nimzovitch defense, and this is going to be the most controversial and crazy and wild video that I've ever made because of these lines. I've already given a hint of this variation. I call it the Fred, or the Nimzovitch Fred, and let me just get something out of the way just before it's part of the story you'll understand. As white, well, first let me just show the opening moves of the Fred so we're sure what it is. Okay, now, as I closed my last video on the Nimzovitch, I've said I believe knight f3 is the worst move white can play. Now, I mean that for more reasons other than it's a good move, but it got certain psychological problems with it. What white is saying when he plays knight f3, he knows the main move is d4, but he's also saying, I don't know that opening. You've caught me with my pants down. So I want to play knight f3 and invite you to play a double king pawn opening because that's what I want to play. Okay, so by playing the Fred, and I'm insistent on calling it that, by playing the Fred, white just suddenly in a game he did not expect. And if you're going to play this variation, you really have to know it. And I'm going to show you the most complicated stuff today. This is going to take several videos to get this whole thing down. And because there's other lines that definitely need to be discussed, I'm not going to be able to show it all today. Okay, so just put this position in your mind for a moment, and I'll show you something I discovered a number of years ago, over 20 years ago. Okay, as white, I would open with the English, and against e5 in this variation, I discovered that this position was exactly like the Nimzovitch Fred with colors reversed, except there's a difference. There's a white pawn on c4. And I said, hey, what if white plays f4 here? And there's some interesting stuff. I'll just show you the basic ideas. If e4, white has d4, and then if takes en passant, then you play e4. And whatever it's worth, this is something that I came up with, and I said, yeah, I'm willing to try this. And I've played a number of games in correspondence chess and one or two over the board with this variation. Just experimenting, being willing to go in for adventure and glory and blaze some new paths to adventure and see what happens. So, like I say, there's a reason for this because I actually got into what I'm going to show in a little bit with colors reversed. I got into an alleged refutation to what I'm about to show you. Okay, now let's store that in the back of the mind. This gambit that I'm about to show you may have a flaw in it, and we'll discuss that at the end after I'm done presenting it. And I found the flaw in a very interesting way, and I'll explain it when I get to that point. You'll see the rest of the story to pull all this together. Okay, so f5. Now, white has a number of candidate moves. e5 is one of them. Knight c3 is one of them. I've faced both those. Bishop c4, d4, all kinds of strange moves here. But today, the focus is going to be on the direct acceptance of the gambit. Okay, now, look, as I recall, in 1986, when Hugh Myers' book came out, he quoted this, I've mentioned this before, he quoted this game, or a letter written to Chess Life back in the 1970s. The author was questioning this line, and the author had a residence in Colorado, so Hugh Myers called it the Colorado defense. And it's been misnamed. I've insisted it should be named after International Master Doug Root. And I was just looking at the most recent edition, his last edition, and I'll just kind of quote from what Myers says. There's controversy about its name. He called it the Colorado defense. Others named it after D. Root, who apparently started playing it in 1979. Actually, he was playing it before that. I know because I saw it. Okay. Then he says, the silliest he's seen is the Fred, and it's already a misnomer in his opinion for e4 f5. Well, e4 f5 is the Fred named after Fred Reinfeldt, the chess author, as a joke. Okay, now he says, I can't recommend any of these names now that he knows that somebody named Lean played it in the British Championship back in 1914, and a guy named Whitefield won with it in the Canadian Championship in 1932. And so he says naming it should wait until at least we find out if it was given other tests by Lean or Whitefield. Anyway, I still say it should be the Fred. That's my opinion. Okay, now let's get to the nitty-gritty here and show you the most controversial line. What black needs to play here is d5. That's pretty much the only move. Now, I've faced bishop b5, I've faced d4, and I've also faced this controversial move here, which will be the focus today, knight h4. And Myers even says it's the best way to hold on to the pawn. Now, if you'll notice, I've got the players here listed as Jahr and Pothig, and this is from a game played in Germany in the Bundesliga back in 1982, and it's an amusing game. And I'm going to show the game, and then we're going to come back and I'll show you some of the main variations and discuss this a little further. So here's the first move, e5. Okay, now I've done this with colors reversed, as I said, with the difference being I have a pawn on c4 as white. Okay, so see this, anyway, let's not confuse with the colors, because this just allows this immediate check, and this looks deadly. Now, I was playing this on Yahoo back in 1999, 2000 from work. I discovered I could play chess online at work, and I used to run into, I didn't know at the time, I was running into a lot of chess engines, and the problem is the chess engines lose with this position with white, because white sees itself, it's the horizon effect, white sees itself up about 5 points, and what happens is down the line all of a sudden black gets this killer attack, and suddenly white has to give up his queen to avoid checkmate. I defeated Colossus at ICC back in 2002, and it's like a 3,000 rated Blitz computer. I beat it, and they had to fix the programming so nobody could do that again. It wouldn't let me again. It found a way out. But I was beating cheaters on Yahoo, and I didn't even realize they were cheating until later. And I'll explain how I determined they were cheating in just a little bit. Okay, so here's the gist of the gambit. White is winning all kinds of stuff, but black gets this really neat counterattack. Okay, now queen takes h4. Now the whole point of this line, and I'll show you some more variations as we go. Well, I can show you one right now. Okay, if bishop b5. Now I've actually had this played against me in Blitz, and I didn't realize that. I just studied it later. And you know, Blitz is nothing. 3-minute games. How are you supposed to remember all the analysis you have? Okay, white has this, or black has this winning position starting with queen e4. See, it's necessary to guard the pawn on e5. Now, if the king goes to f1, it's curtains with, or to d1, it's curtains with bishop g4 check. You can verify that on your own. But on king f1, I found that black has this really pretty move, bishop h3, and doesn't matter what white does, he's in trouble. Okay, try queen g8, and you can work this out on your own. I'm not going to sit here and show everything because it'll just take too much time. The analysis to this is crazy. This is why it's such a great weapon against an unprepared opponent. Who wants to play against this? I mean, my goodness, how can black do this in an opening? What other kind of openings does black get this kind of an attack right out of the opening? Well, he doesn't. So let's just back up, and I'll show the line with as dang PGN. Okay, so queen b7 or queen takes h7 is the line from Jahr versus Pothig. Now, black plays knight d4 here. Okay, now I'll show you a better move for white down the line, not just yet, that relates back to the this position with colors reversed. But the threat here is to play bishop f5. This is the threat. Okay, and after bishop f5, white's going to get queen e4 check, or black's going to get queen e4 check in, and then there's threats of queen takes c2 check and queen takes c1 mate. So white's in a little bit of a dilemma here what to do. And the way this game continued was there was a check here, and the king went over to d8, and then g3, and then just a beautiful game by black. Just watch this continuation. Just queen g4. He goes ahead and says, I'll trade queens, and black does. Now, black's down the exchange in a couple of pawns. Let's see, he's got 5 pawns against 7. Against 6. He's down the exchange in a pawn. But look at the activity black has, and everything white owns is not developed. So this game continued bishop d3, and then e4, and then c3, Then white stops, or black stops and checks, and black goes over here. Then another check. The king comes up. Then we attack the bishop. Just look how the black pieces have infested the white position. It's just beautiful. Brings the rook over. Now we grab the bishop with check. Now black's got some wood back. Now he has 4 minors against 2 rooks and 2 minors, but white still has a bunch of pawns. But those pawns on the king side aren't going anywhere. Black has them all stifled. Okay, let me show you the rest of this game, and then we'll go back. Okay, so king d7, and then white runs for the hills, and black develops his rook, and white tries to get a little clearance here. Then comes a knight check, and the king comes out, and suddenly bishop f3 is attacking the rook. Where's the rook go? The rook has to go to d2. I mean, this is just a remarkable game. And then, bang, the bishop goes after the rook, and white realizes he has to give it up, and he takes, and there's an exchange there. And all of a sudden, this check comes, and white looks at this and says, I'm lost, because no matter where his king goes, he has two squares he can move to, a3 or b4. You can see what happens next. There's knight c2 check, and that rook on a1 falls. So just a remarkable game by black, and this was actually played. Okay, so let's go back to the point where white takes on h7. Okay, as I say, black's key move here is to play knight d4, and the threat is bishop f5. And I don't remember all the lines. I was the game I played against Colossus. I have a record of it, but it's burned to DVD somewhere. I'm not going to go through several hundred DVDs just to find it. Suffice it to say that the same thing happened to Colossus that happened to all the cheaters on Yahoo. Black just got this overwhelming attack, and mate threats abounded, and no matter what white did, he was just in trouble here. And I kept beating these guys and having a lot of fun with it. So, anyways, let me just skip forward and get to the next part. C3 has been played against me here. Queen takes C7 has been played. Bishop B5 check has been played. None of these moves work. I'm going to show you a game where somebody played C3 against me in a moment, but I'm going to get down to the gist of the alleged refutation. I no longer have confidence in this line as black. Okay, I discussed it. I have a couple friends that are, one was solid 2100, one was solid 2200 that were adherents of this line also, and I was talking to them. There's a flaw in this thing, and the theoretical flaw here, and I'll show you, is knight c3. Okay, and the point of knight c3, and this is what seems to kill the whole line, but this is where you guys, if you really want to take this up, can explore it further, because I really have no time to go into this. But the point of knight c3 is that it takes away this critical check that black has. And here's the funny thing. As I said, in the game with colors reversed where I played this, I was playing this in a correspondence game circa 1995, roughly in there, 96, I don't remember. And I had knight c3 played against me, and I couldn't find a good move, and I quickly got slaughtered. And what was amusing, or not amusing, or amazing, I should say, is the player that beat me with colors reversed here, his over-the-board rating was like 1550, and I've determined later that he was cheating. He was beating FMs, he was beating all the masters he could, and nobody caught on. I don't know what program he was using. I think it was Chessmaster at that time, and I'll tell you why in a moment. Because, like I say, I was already beating Fritz and Junior, whatever they were using on Yahoo. I was already beating them. It wasn't playing knight c3. But then in the year 2000, that same time that I was winning these games online, before I got into online chess, like with the decent servers, I purchased a copy of Chessmaster 7. I found it on sale. And naturally, I wanted to see what would happen if I played the Fred against it, because I want to know what a computer does. You know, I've been going on human analysis for all these years that I've been playing it. There weren't any decent computers out there to test it on. So everything had been playing it with was human versus human. So I wanted what the computer would do. And Chessmaster popped up knight c3, and I couldn't find a way to refute it. And I'm not going to go into that, but this is the alleged refutation, and this is what this person played against me. And because of his results, I'm convinced he was a cheater. Sorry, I'm not going to identify you. I think you're probably dead by now because, as I recall, 20-some years ago, approximately, you said you were 75 years old. So you've got to be at least 93, 95 now, if you're still with us. But you are a cheater, and I don't care. Who cares? You save me from losing this to the human. But knight c3 may refute this, so I'm not going to play this line anymore as black until I see someone do some work on knight c3. Okay, so that's the basic story there. And at the same time that Chessmaster was playing knight c3, Fritz, Schroeder, Jr., they were all playing queen takes c7 or bishop b5 check. They weren't playing knight c3. Now I noticed later some of these programs switch. They will play knight c3 now. It seems to be the better move. So apparently some work was done. Other people were beating these computers, and the computer operators don't like that when their engine loses to a human, and they make corrections. And so I'm afraid probably this line is refuted. But as far as playing it over the board, you're certainly going to catch somebody by surprise in this. Go for it. I played it a lot of blitz at ICC and stuff, and I lost a lot with it. I won a lot with it. You never know what's going to happen. It's blitz. But if you're a decent blitz player, this is the opening for you, because with all the tactics that come from the black side, white's just going to get in time trouble, and you're going to find some nice wins. You know, a lot of positions. Not this one. This knight will come into f4, and you know, you'll be sacrificing something on f3 just to get at the white king. It's just absolutely crazy. Okay, so that's the basic story of the Fred. But let's get into some of the other lines. Let's see what else. How else can white go wrong here? Let's take knight c3 back, because that seems to dust it. Queen takes c7. Just like I say, it just runs into trouble. You know, what are you going to do with white? Now this square is covered. You can't take on c2, but I think bishop g4 just does poor white in, and he has no recourse. At some point, this is probably the line where white eventually finds a way to sack his queen to get out of this mess. There's just no hope here. And I know, like I say, bishop b5 check doesn't work, but me being adventurous and willing to test this line, I happily played it. Let me bring up a game I played. Let me get it here in the PGN. I'll get rid of this one. We'll show one more game in this line, then go from there. Figure out what comes next. Okay, so I'm loading up a new PGN. Okay, now this was played in ICCF. That's International Correspondence Chess, and this was in effect a prestigious event. It's one of these tournaments you can win a medal with, and one of them being the Chess Olympics. It's different than, of course, the Chess Olympics that they have, and of course the Olympics that are going on right now in England. It's a different thing. This was what they call Pacific Area Team Tournament number 3, and this basically any country that bordered the Pacific Ocean was invited, had participants. So 6-player teams. I was board 6. Canada was here. We were here. I believe Mexico. I know Peru, Colombia, and then from the other side of the globe, we had Australia, New Zealand, Singapore, Hong Kong. I don't think Japan was in. But anyway, this was what they called the Pacific Area Team Tournament, and I was invited to play based on my decent results in ICCF. I'd already been winning masterclass sections, and already had at the time one qualification into the World Championship cycle, and the director of the American branch wanted to help all American players that were doing well and get them into some kind of a decent event, and I was lucky I was allowed to play in this. And the United States, we won gold. We narrowly defeated Canada by about a point or a half a point, and I still have my gold medal today, so perhaps this is, if I was to say what's my greatest accomplishment in chess, maybe winning a gold medal for Team USA. I did. It's all documented. I have it, the links on my website, on my About Me page, or on my coach's page at chess.com. Okay, so this is against a fellow from Australia, George Metier, and here I happily played it. Okay, and then there came knight h4, and boom, e5, and here comes the gambit. Here goes the pawn, and suddenly here I am. And what's he going to do? Well, he took this, and then I played knight d4, and as I explained on the other game, c3 is just not good. It loses, and the continuation went bishop f5. And as I say, the threat is on the queen, and to play queen e4 check followed by queen c2 check and mate. So he had to get desperate here, and he gave this check, and I played c6, and he ate the pawn, and then I checked on e4 with the queen. Now obviously can't go to e1 or d1 as I explained, because queen c2 check will lead to mate. So he went to f1. That's the point of his clearing this square. But I just calmly played pawn takes here. Took his bishop off, and he grabs my rook. Now white's up the world, but he's in trouble. And after king f7, white studied this position and gave it up. Black is winning. There's no defense. You can verify it all on your own. I'll just show you the basic. The threat is to play queen e2 check and queen e1 mate. And with all these pieces swarming around the white king, black's just relegated to, or white's relegated to another spy check or something, and that's it. And give up the queen for the knight on d4. That might be how I beat Colossus. I don't remember exactly. I think it was. But anyway, make a long story short, I dared risk it because I hadn't found a refutation. I wanted to see what the refutation was. I was happy to lose a game if somebody could show me the refutation. If they didn't, I was convinced that this variation of the Fred wins for black. And if you can find a gambit that wins for black, you can keep playing it. So, as I said, the move 10 knight c3 puts this thing to the test. It needs further investigation. I did have a chance in 1991, I think. I'd have to look it up. I did get to play Doug Root in a tournament, and I played e4, and he played knight c6. And normally I would have played d4, and I already knew that Nimzovitch probably maybe even better than he did. I could have seen what he had to play, but I played knight f3 because I wanted to see what he would do with the Fred. And darn it, he didn't play it. He played e5. And we got into a Scotch game or something, I don't remember. And I doubled up his C pawns and his F pawns. He had all isolated pawns, and he was fine. Couldn't believe it. And I made a mistake, and game was over. He was a very strong player. But anyway, back to this whole Fred variation. And that's what I'm going to call it, and that's what I want you to call it. It's the Fred. That's what I've always called it. The Fred. Okay. I have dared risk this in many events. I've played it. I played it in a World Championship semifinal. I won in 7 moves. Okay, I'm playing a Russian as black, and I won the game in 7 moves. Yeah, he made a gross blunder, but I wouldn't have beat him in 7 moves if I had played any normal opening, right? But I did. I still won the game, and I might not have. But this is a World Championship semifinal. This is like being in the interzonals. Well, I dared it. I dared it in the Pacific Area Team Tournament, and I dared it in the World Championship semifinal, and I got away with it. I've played it over the board against masters, and I've beaten them. And I'll get at least one. And I've got plenty of Fred games that in my collection that I'll have to dig up. And I've got them on Blitz games. I've got just incredible how many of these things there are. But I've got a couple of games going on it now with online chess, just for the fun of it, because I want to see what people think of it now. And if it loses, oh well, it's adventurous chess to say the least. Now, if you're not happy with playing a move like F5, stop right here and just wait for my next videos, because I'll show you some other defenses. But just based on what I've shown you, let's just cover, you can go back and look at the promotion video. D6 is perfectly fine. It's slow, it's solid. You're going to kind of play it hippopotamus style. The pawn, maybe the bishop go to G4, you might have to trade it off. You're fine. You can play it French defense style. You can play E6. And if you're comfortable defending a double king pawn, go ahead. But then you're giving white what he wants, and you're justifying him playing knight F3. My point is, Fred rolls knight F3 over on its back. Knight F3, I love to see that move, especially in blitz. And I don't play blitz anymore. But when they play knight F3, I just laugh and just throw F5 at them. So like I say, 2 knight F3 is the worst move white can play. I'm sure there's a worse move, but psychologically F5 just messes them up. Now and it's chess, it's adventurous chess, and I had so much fun with this, and I want to share everything I played and with this line, and I'll show more. I don't know if I'll ever play it seriously again. I don't know what I'm going to do. All I know is it was a big part of my chess career, and what I'm doing is sharing everything in my chess career so that you have a chance to see what I've done and see if you can take my openings and my contributions and my playing style and become a better player than I with it as a result. Like I said, I want everybody to be able to that's following my progress and following these videos and studying with me. I want every one of you to get better than I. What's the point of me beating you? I don't need to prove myself. I can beat strong players. I don't need to keep beating you guys. I've already done it. I want you guys beating me, okay? It's just like father and son. You want the father wants the son to do better than he, okay? I want my students to do better than I. And that's what I'm all about. And I'm sharing everything. And if you want to prepare a line for me and beat me in the Fred, good job. Okay, I'll compliment you. It's not like, ha, I got our rats in that line. I refuted it and beat him. Well, good. That's what I wanted you to do. It proved to me you did your work. And what else can I say? It bears a lot of study, but trust me, if you like to play this Nimzovitch defense, this Fred is going to be fun for you. Okay? Give it a try. I wish you all the luck in the world with it. Have fun with the Fred. And that's what its name is, the Fred. All right. There'll be another video soon. I need to show more variations on E4. I'll just show you. I need to show... go back to the original one, because this is usually the most common reply that white will do, E5. We need to discuss more. I've only shown you one that I played before I took this opening up, and I've got more. And I want to share some of those with you. And as I said, there's going to be plenty. This Nimzovitch series is going to go for a long time, and hopefully you're going to learn it very well. Those that are going to pick this opening up, you're going to learn it very well with watching my videos and from your experiences with it. It's certainly creative chess, to say the least, and I would much rather play this opening than I had than all the other openings that black can defend E4 against. This is a lot of fun, and that's it. I'll continue with my love of the Nimzovitch defense soon. We'll talk to you all. Take care. Bye.